Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily Devotions. Pastor Steve here walking with you in God's Word. Another day, another incredible day giving us the opportunity to know God more and actually how He actually directs and organizes us to be able to be according to His purposes. And that's what we get to see in Exodus chapter 18. They are through the Red Sea. They are on the other side of the sea. They are into the desert of sin. They are heading their way towards the mountain of God, and they are ever inching closer to that mountain of God. Actually, in Exodus 18, it seems as though they've made that first contact with the mountain of God. We're talking about Mount Sinai in that region. Now, I want to give you a little bit of understanding before we get into this Exodus 18 that Moses left Egypt after he killed that Egyptian, and then was kind of that quarrel. And as he left and he went out into the Mount Sinai region, right? He went out to the Mount Sinai region to shepherd the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro. He married the daughter whose name was Zipporah. And as that was taking place, that's where he was encountered by God with that burning bush. And people quickly forget that that's the place. And then he's sent to Egypt and then brought back to this place. It's an amazing reality. I think it's an amazing reality, at least, that God sent him to Egypt to come back to a place that he knows so well. Knows so well. As you're a shepherd in and amongst this region, in and amongst this mountainous region, you know the cliffs, you know the places, you know where to go, what is the terrain, and he has all these people to shepherd in the terrain and the place that he knows. Another grace and gift of God. Confidence of Moses in leadership. And that's where he finds himself, in leadership of these people, walking together with these people, seeing what the Lord has done for these people. And he shouts and acclaims that to his father-in-law, but also gets some tutelage from his father-in-law as well for the benefit of Moses' health and leadership going forward. And that's Exodus chapter 18. Let's read this in together. Verse 1, Exodus 18, it says, "Now Jethro, the priest of Midian, and father-in-law of Moses, heard of everything God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt." How did he hear about it? That's the next verse. Moses apparently sent his family to his family, his father-in-law. Verse 2, it says, "After Moses had sent away his wife Zipporah, his father-in-law received her and her two sons. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, 'I have become an alien in a foreign land.'" Gershom is this, sounds like sometimes they name people what the word sounds like. In Hebrew, alien, or "I'm an alien in a foreign land," sounds like Gershom. So that's why they name him Gershom. And the other name was Eliezer, for he said, "My father's God was my helper." And that's what Eliezer means in Hebrew. God is my helper. "He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh." Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' sons and wife, came to him in the desert where he was camped near the mountain of God. Jethro had sent word to him, "I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her two sons." So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They greeted each other and then went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and about all the hardships they had met along the way, and how the Lord had saved them. Jethro was delighted to hear about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel in rescuing them from the hand of the Egyptians. He said, "Praise be to the Lord, who rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians and of Pharaoh, and who rescued the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all the other gods, for he did this to those who had treated Israel arrogantly." Did you see how Egypt's actually making that confession? God's making that promise, and Jethro, the priest of Midian, which is way out, in the Sinai Peninsula, has that same confession. What confession am I talking about? I'm talking about the confession that now I know. This is what God put up front, right? I'm going to be doing these things to the Egyptians so that Israel will know that I am the Lord, that Egypt will know that I am the Lord, that you, Moses, and your family will know that I am the Lord. And so this testimony of what God has done to the Egyptians before the Israelites, Jethro utters those same words. This is happening. Now I know that the Lord is Lord. Yahweh is God, way greater than the other gods. Verse 12. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. And this is no small thing. I just want you to dive deeper into what was just said in 12. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, who is a priest of Midian, didn't receive sacrifices and officiate the sacrifices. He brought the offering. That is not something that priests do. That isn't their part of their calling. They're not necessarily asked to bring that offering, but rather officiate the offerings that are brought. And as they are brought, actually tying them together with his priesthood, that's how he offered sacrifices. But not so here. He said, I want to praise God. I want to worship God. I'm going to bring my own offering. Not the offering of the people, but Jethro brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God to celebrate and to worship him. Verse 13, the next day Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people. And they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, what is this you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge while all these people stand around you from morning till evening? Moses answered him, because the people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and laws. I bring it and I hear it towards what God has for discernment for these people, of something that they have to arbitrate, something they have to figure out, something they have to decide upon how they're going to be in community with one another. Now Moses' father-in-law replied, what you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Some great advice. What is Moses' purpose and call for those people? Yes, to bring about, he's going to be a prophet to the people. He's going to proclaim what God has in order for his people. But to listen to the disputes, to listen to the kind of everyday court system that is going on in millions of people within Israel, yeah, he's seeing this as saying, you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to burn out, Moses. This is not good. You cannot handle this alone. Verse 19, listen now to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. That was Moses' call. I want you to go and take my people out of Egypt, but also I want you, I've heard the cries of Egypt, but that's going to the Israelites, but I'm going to ask you to bring those to me. You're going to be my intercessor. This is that prefiguration of Jesus. God sending Jesus into the world to be the intercessor for his people. Moses being that intercessor for the people. But this has now become a judge. Now this has become hearing their disputes, finding out all these little things that are happening so that he can have decisions. Those things can be done by the community, Jethro says, but you are to be the representative to bring the people's requests to God. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Verse 20, teach them the decrees and laws and show them the way to live and the duties that they are to perform. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide for themselves. That will make your load lighter because they will share it with you. If you do this, and God so commands, you'll be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied. Jethro is looking after Moses and his family. What you're doing is not good. You're going to have way too much stress. You're going to be burnt out. You're not going to be able to be what God has called you to be. That is the leader of Israel, bringing their requests to God, but also the leader of your family. A lot of times in Exodus 18, people kind of dismiss, they're kind of looking at this system and this leadership of the people of Israel. But Jethro is also speaking to at the beginning here that he brought his wife and his 2 sons to present them before him as saying, hey, you need to lead these people as well. How do you lead your family while you're walking in this world? They need to be top priority. They need to be people that are hearing the word of the Lord as well, leading your household towards the Lord, as well as the people towards the Lord. Verse 24. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all Israel and made them leaders of the people. Officials over thousands, hundreds, 50s, and 10s. They served as judges for the people at all times. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and Jethro returned to his own country. Brothers and sisters, we take on things that maybe God's not calling us to do. So pray about that. Think about that. Walk towards God's will of what his calling is towards you, his purpose for you, and fulfill that in the greatest way possible. As you do that, you walk in God's purpose, plan, and will for your lives. And there's no greater joy than walking aligned with God's purpose, plan, and will for your life. Yes, proclaim to your family, lead your family in the way of the gospel, but also have an impact on the people around you, as that is an overflowing joy of walking in God's purpose, plan, and will for you. Have a blessed day.